While I've got a bug on my ass, I've been meaning to make. See, I don't think I've made any other. I don't think I've made any psychology videos, right, on our channel.
I don't think so.
I very much am into psychology, and I've been studying it for quite some time, along with body language. And I just want to pass along something. My daughter, who's 11, had a falling out with her best friend, and it was quite severe. And so my daughter hasn't spoken to her in a couple days to let it calm down. And this girl, is saying, "Hey, let's talk." And blah, blah. So, but the problem is my daughter's told me the plan. The plan is they're going to sit there and tell each other what they think they did wrong, as in the other person. And I said, so you're going to incite each other with inflammatory rhetoric that you've already said to each other, already hasn't worked, and expect the other 11-year-old and both of you to stay calm while they do it and not interrupt and all that jazz. Do you really think that's going to work? And she looked at me and I was like, And I know people are like, we're talking about 11-year-olds. Well, unfortunately, because of the lack of genuine teachings on psychology in school to people, which is a huge disservice and I think done on purpose, people can't control their emotions. So you'd be surprised at how many people that I run into and talk to and help that are basically an emotional level 11-year-olds. Me too. Let's be honest, we all are, but are not aware. It's not their fault. It's not your fault if you're unaware, right? If you're never taught, how could you know? So the point of this video is, I told her, what would be a better way of going about that, using almost the same strategy, but just switching around 180 degrees, one thing. She's like, what? I'm like, well, think about it. And she's like, what? Kids, I just want to hear the answer. I said, instead of, and it's not going to work because you're both 11, but try. I said, instead of pointing the finger 180 degrees, I said, why don't you tell her? I said, set the boundaries, because you have to set boundaries. Everybody out there, you have to set reasonable boundaries with other people. In almost all instances, reasonable is the key there. And you could cut people some slack because no one's perfect. But I said, instead of your plan, I said, why don't you, without interrupting, tell each other, take it one turn, and then the other person goes, say what you think you did wrong in the relationship. Say, I did this wrong, and it has to be done in good faith. Can't be setting people up, or because that's very important. Because that is, in fact, you wanted to talk about the most important key when you're communicating with people, with your spouse, significant other, children, coworkers, whoever. I want you to practice constructive criticism or whatever, anything along those lines, without agendas, without being a smartass, in good faith. Just a genuine attempt to help. Because one, after a while, no, people are always going to be suspicious at first because of just how humans are. But after a while, that will help you in a bunch of ways, because once the person realizes that when they run into you, you really are just trying to make suggestions that are helpful, they will be more willing to listen and talk to you and not immediately put up, go into fight, flight, or freeze and put up a wall. Okay? Granted, that takes a while, and it's going to be different with each person depending on their level of trauma. So, always in good faith. And it's going to help you with that, and it's going to just, people are going to, and it also is going to help you when you take it a step further. You say, what I did wrong, this is what I think I did wrong. And then when the other person, and this is very difficult to do, that's very difficult to do. Now, what's even more difficult to do is when the other person is making their argument, bringing their argument to you, against you, or whatever the argument is, you help them make their argument. And then when they're done, you repeat it and you say, do I have that 100% correct? Because one, miscommunication really is 99% of the time the cause of most problems. It really is. Even the definition of words, people think, pick out any general word and ask 5 people the definition of it, because no one knows the dictionary definition of it. They all have their own little tweak on it from their life experiences. So that right there is the fuse for miscommunication and conflict. So you have to work on that. You have to work on taking responsibility, point the finger at yourself, and help the other person make their argument. Because again, that will build their trust in you. That will teach them that you are willing to listen. They will eventually drop their guard and you will be able to communicate with them properly without worrying about whether they're going to blow up. You know what I'm saying? Now, again, you're always going to run into individuals that are just so walled off. It might take a long, long time. But it is worth it at the end. Did I miss anything? I know, I'm all over the place today. My goal of the video, I think I covered it right.
What was your goal?
I don't remember now. No, it was just when you're going at it with somebody, try instead of pointing the finger at them, point the finger back at yourself. Because there's definitely going to be instances where you're involved with somebody in some type of way and a problem breaks out, and it could be a lot of it is their fault. But remember, it takes two to tango, and almost always it's not just one person. Almost. I'd say that because I try to refrain from using absolutes, because absolutes usually is not a good way to do things. So that's my spiel. And now you know this channel. Everybody, all our tens of viewers know I'm into psychology and body language. So here's a quick tip for the day too. Fun one to study blink rate. Get a baseline blink rate.
I'm blinking like a crazy person.
Well, see, there's an instance. You gotta, the person though, you get a baseline blink rate, but have they just been through a stressful event? Are they on the medications? Are they hungry, tired, whatever? So it's not remember, psychology, body language, all this stuff are called soft sciences for the most part. They're not absolute instant indicators. Like, oh, this is what you do to instantly spot a psychopath. There's no, anybody who tells you that, I don't care how many letters they have before and after their name, don't listen to them in that instance. There's no hard and fast way to instantly spot a psychopath, So here I am at a completely different topic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I really have ADHD really bad.
It is bad.
It is bad today. Yeah, I'm having a bad day today. Not bad as in like bad day, but bad day in my mind.
It happens.
Yeah, it's just jumbled and all over the place. And I have a lot of information I want to get out there, but I try to be very careful about how I parse it out, because I want to make sure I'm not, again, communicating it incorrectly, which I'm sure I do all the time. So yeah, but I also want to help. So, oh well, it is what it is. As usual, if I'm wrong, communicate to me in the comments and tell me if you think I'm a moron. Tell me if you think I'm right, or you can tell me how awesome and good-looking and intelligent I am. No, you don't have to do that. People do that all the time.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about that in the comments. So. I'm here with my wife, by the way. Yes, so we are in the hospital.
Right.
She's been in the hospital for about a month and a half, which is why I haven't been making as many videos. But the outlook is good. So that's good.
Yeah,
it wasn't for a while.
game.
Yeah, for a while it was, she's probably going to die. So,
By His grace that I'm here.
yeah,
Yes.
so that's good news. So, have a great day.